just turned us around. I was really starting to get winded. Whew. Drink some more of that for me, buddy. It makes me feel good when you drink the water. I worry less about you. Hi everyone. Out for a walk this morning. It's really interesting that the terrain here, not so much the terrain, but the foliage, I think is the correct term for the kind of trees and bushes and such that are in the area. So oh, there goes a bunny. Oh my goodness. There's a lot of rabbits around here. So we're on the east side of the river right now. And this area has... Stay. I don't know where he went, buddy. He's up in there somewhere. Okay. It's like rush hour here. One car every 30 minutes. But this side, in this area here, is milder to walk around in. And I don't know, mild is the right word, but it's, there's less obstacles. On the west side of the river is really inundated with cactus. And there are some on this side, and I'll show you the ones I'm talking about here. These cactus, they're low cactuses, and they're all around the area. And there's from each campsite, because we've explored all of them down here hiking around, you know, as the campsites are empty. I gotta take a break. Holy cripes. Yeah, this is all uphill, and I know you can't tell, but that was a little bit of an uphill grade right there. And then it continues. I'm holding the camera kind of perpendicular to the earth, I think, and you can see the road raise up in front of us. That's kind of give you an idea. And it's not steep, but over a long period of time, and especially when I'm talking to y'all, something about talking when because we've walked up this hill several times and it's not a big deal, but when I'm chatting, I just seem to lose my air. And then I'm wrangling this guy with the other hand too, so that doesn't help either. But yeah, over there at the campsite there, each camp has its own little trail that goes over to the river's edge. And those trails, for the most part, don't have any cactuses on them. I say for the most part because even though they're pretty developed walking trails, there are still cactuses. There's a lot of areas where you're crossing, you know, little rocks, boulders and such, and those seem to be an area where the cactuses take root. And so what it results in is when we're walking around this area, I have to be really dialed in and watching. Now Lefty he'll avoid the cactuses when he sees them and smells them, you know, and he's not perfect. And there's been one time that he was actually, I don't know, I think it was a chipmunk maybe, that he took off after. And when he got to the end of the leash and stopped, he was right in the middle of a big patch of cactus. And I told him just to stand still, which he was already doing. And I got him picked up and spun around so that we could get back out of that area where the cactuses were. Because, you know, they don't look like much, right? They're just short little cactuses, but they have needles on them that are, you know, 2 inches long. And they go through the rubber on my hiking shoes here. They are strong. They don't just snap off. They're very strong. And even if you're not directly stepping on the cactuses, those needles can be in the area around them, you know, from ones that have died or whatever. I don't know if they shed them, but so you can just be walking on the trail that looks clear and step on a needle. I've gotten them down in my shoes. I've gotten them in my gloves. And Lefty has not yet gotten one stuck in him. Not on this trip so far. Are you mad at me? You got your boots on? You don't look happy about it. Yeah, I hear you. Whew. This keeps climbing and climbing and climbing. Really? You want to go this way? Yesterday we went down that road. I'm actually going to get on the bike and take a ride down there. It looks pretty interesting. Oh, can you read that? Limited use area vehicles must remain on posted routes. No cross-country travel. And this is 375. Oh, geez. So right now, I'm about at the level of the top of the big rock. That's how... See, it's not showing it, but this is a pretty substantial downhill you're looking at right now. And I'm feeling it. Lefty's feeling it too. He just went into crawl gear. Slowed himself down a little. Hey, come on. Holy shite. Yeah, we just came up a few hundred feet. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna stop and get him some water. Hold on. Whew. Drink some more of that for me, buddy. It makes me feel good when you drink the water. I worry less about you. Get that water. Get that water. There you go. Good boy. Thank you. He's humoring me. Okay, I just turned us around. I was really starting to get winded, and you know, it's early in the morning, and we stopped and had the water, but we started going again, and I mean, we've climbed. I didn't realize how much of a climb this was up here. Really, really nice from up here, though. I mean, look at these views. Those folks have a really nice camp. They're just off the camera over to the left there. Beautiful views from up here. Look at this. Wow. But for health reasons, I'm going to start us back. You know, I always have to remember, no matter how far we walk, we always have the same distance of walk to get back. And even though he wants to keep going, quite the view up here. The town of Buena Vista down there off in the distance. Yeah, I was talking about I was talking about the camp over there. I was talking about our camp. So when we're on those hiking trails, I'm gonna say they're like 75% clear of cactuses, but then all of a sudden we'll run into a bunch of them. And if you go off of the trails, like cross country, it's pretty much impossible without hitting cactuses. We've taken some shortcuts, I'm gonna call them, get off of the trail and make our way in a, you know, as the crow flies direction. And sometimes I've actually had to stop us and turn around and go back because it just is inundated with the cactus. And you know, I don't want Lefty stepping on them. I don't want to get into them. I don't want to get them on the leash. That's another thing that I should bring up. When we're walking around areas with the cactuses, if I have the leash doing any kind of ground dragging, it will get just peppered with cactus prickers of all kinds. And I learned that early on in our travels, actually in Utah at Gooseberry Mesa. A lot of cactus there, larger ones, and they have the big spikes, but then they have the short little red ones, and they would get in the leash, and then I would slide the leash through my hands. Oh my gosh, did I figure that out quick. That's where the glove wearing started. And also, for the most part, I keep the leash off the ground. You know, I keep it stretched between him and me so that it's not dragging the ground. And I do that all the time to keep it from getting super dirty or muddy or wet. And I've had some people that have talked to me over the years, you know, they were interested in Lefty's leash, and so I would give them the Amazon link to it. Oh, come here, buddy. Come on. What are you doing? Okay. So nosy. Gosh. Won't even let the vehicle drive by. Come here. You gotta stay out of the road, okay? Good God. How many dogs can you carry in your vehicle with you? People that got a leash like Lefty's, and these are, you know, this is, you know, 3/8 of an inch thick, 1/2 an inch thick. Whatever this is, you know, it's very durable. It's got some weight to it, but they last a long, long time. Yeah, I have gone through some of them, but that's usually if they get hooked on something and get a little cut in them, and that's the end. That's the start of the end for them if they get a cut in the outside sheathing, because inside, oh, he's wrapping me all up. Oh gosh. So you're seeing right here what I was just about to. Oh, Lefty again. Stay on one side, buddy. So the people that started using the leash like Lefty's, I had a couple of people. They're like, how do you do that? It's like it gets wound around everything, and I get it. Like, it's a job. Like when I'm walking with him with the leash, I'm two hands on it. So anytime I'm carrying the camera like this, I'm at a real disadvantage because, you know, he wraps the leash around and I keep him unwrapped when I've got two hands on it. You know, I'm constantly switching it, flipping it around him, making sure it's not getting on a tree branch or a stump or something, not getting wrapped around rocks. It's a constant, it's like walking him is a job, keeping the leash correct. And, you know, it took me years to get good at it. Back in the beginning, I remember it getting wrapped around everything. You can't just let it drag behind the dog because it will get wrapped around every single thing and you can get really ticked off. And these folks that talked to me were really ticked off because they were frustrated with it. So the best thing is to keep it like that. You know, I keep it stretched between him and me, and that way it's not getting hung around stuff, and it's not getting dirty, and it's not getting cactus needles in it. But it takes two hands to do that. I'm constantly reeling it in and shortening it up and letting it get long, depending on what he's doing. It's a constant job. And with the cactuses around, it's pretty critical to keep the leash from dragging around through the cactuses. You will come to find that that's a really bad thing. But in the camp, cross-country hiking is kind of, you can't do it because of all the cactus. I mean, you could. If I didn't have a dog with me, you know, I could hike through that area. But with a dog, going cross country off the trails here is pretty, it's pretty gnarly. And it's kind of frustrating because, you know, this is a beautiful area. This is not the hugest camp area, and it's being restricted even more by where we can walk, you know. So you see the dirt road, and then each campsite has its own little driveway, and all of that land in between, it looks, you know, that looks like there's plenty of room to hike around, but we can't go across any of that land for the most part because there's too many prickers waiting to get us. And so we're kind of stuck here walking the trails, and you know, not a bad thing, but this guy, he gets bored with walking the same trail. Real first world problem, right? Gosh, the camp area's got too many cactuses. What a complainer. Oh my gosh. This is what my life is. I'm complaining about cactuses. Dude, you just dusted me. We just had a really great moment up here. We were cutting through some scrub and just came to a little rock area and just stopped and soaked it in. Dead quiet. I can just hear the sound of a quiet generator way off. I can just barely hear it. And other than that, oh, it's the kind of quiet. It's so quiet that all I can hear is my ears, you know, like the little buzzing in my ears. It's so quiet. And the both of us just kind of stood there for like 3 minutes and just soaked it up. I push myself to have more moments like that because I've talked about this before. The daily shuffle of life, it's just way too easy to forget where we are, what we're doing, the greater picture, and stopping and taking moments to just soak it all in. I need to do that more, you know, because this is not going to be forever. You know, we're not going to be doing this kind of stuff forever. And I say we, you know, me, not going to do this for the rest of my life. And, you know, any day my life could change and this could come to an end. You know, who knows what's going to come tomorrow. And it would be a real pisser if my last day out in the wild, all I did was nothing, you know? You know, like yesterday morning, we took a really long hike. Lefty's on a diet right now and exercise. He's, his hind end, he's showing some old age in his hind end. And I guess with terriers like this, it's a common thing to happen. As they get older, their hind end can have some trouble. But one of the biggest contributors is, just like anything, is weight, you know, and he is heavier than normal. You know, since we were back in New York this summer and Mom was keeping him stocked with chicken meat, and so he was getting, and still I've been giving him a lot of beef and ground beef in with his meal. And so the last couple of days, instead of big clumps of ground beef, I gave him just a little bit, because then I poured the hot water in it and stir it all up. So all it needs is that little bit of flavor, I think, and he goes at it. So he's on a diet and exercise right now. An example of a day out here, we took a really long hike, came back, I got him fed, and then I started, I don't know what got me started on it. I was wiping the sink down, and then I started then I wiped the counters down, and then I was like, oh, there's some little spatters on the backsplash behind the stove, so I wiped that down, and pretty soon I had cleaned a good portion of the kitchen inside the rig. And then, the faucet on the sink, it's got 2 screws that hold it down into the wood of the cabinet there, and they were a little loose. So I went to get a screwdriver, and I'm like, oh, where's my Leatherman? I think I have 2 Leatherman. The Surge, I believe, is the model. One of them is the traditional metal, silver colored, and the other one is black, kind of stealth looking, really cool. So I'm like, oh, where's my Leatherman? So I went and got that and tightened up those 2 screws. And while I'm getting the Leatherman out, I'm like, oh, I set one of my toolboxes on the back bumper, and I see the Schrader valves for my airbags, and I'm like, oh, let me check my airbags. So I went and got the air gauge out, the pressure gauge, and checked them, and they were a little low. So I went and got a little compressor out that I have, a little battery-powered compressor, and threw that on the 2 airbags and got them topped up. And then I was putting the tools back away in the one cabinet, and I saw that, remember when I changed the oil in the generator and some of it had spilled into the bottom of the generator? Well, once that sat in the cabinet for a long time, all of that eventually seeped out. There's a rubber mat at the bottom of my cabinet, and they all have a drain plug, and it wasn't that much oil that it was actually dripping out of the bottom, but it was enough to kind of oil soak that rubber mat. So I cleaned that, and it's just, snowballed, and pretty soon it's afternoon. I haven't eaten anything yet, and that's kind of what a lot of my days are. It's just puttering around and dicking with stuff and having fun. I mean, all of us that are tinkerers, that kind of stuff is absolutely a lot of fun. I know. I started this train of thought with, if that was my last day out here and not soaking in the environment, and then life changed and I wasn't out here anymore, that would kind of stink if my last day was cleaning the kitchen. So I pushing myself, like I said, to just take more breathers and soak in where we are and what we're doing, and how lucky we are to be out here, and how much it's so funny that this has become such a normal for me. And I compare it to 6 years ago when I was still working and had the house, and it was such a dramatic difference. And it's become, I've gotten so used to this that it's just such a regular normal to be camped out here in these beautiful places and living in a 22-year-old ambulance that doesn't really faze me anymore. That's the normal, and it's just such a swing from what I used to do that this is now my everyday life. Oh, goodness. All right, just made our way back to the rig. We finished off 2 bottles of water on that little hike. I hope y'all enjoyed the walk with us. So is the beauty of the area worth the scrub and the cactus? And, obviously the answer is yes. Even being limited to hiking just on the trails with the dog, it's still a beautiful place. I don't know. There's a lot of changes being made. And watch an upcoming video I'm going to be putting out where I talk about all of the changes that we've seen so far this season at the camp spots we've gone to. Some really big changes. Things are changing for those of us that like to travel around and camp on free public land. I think there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes because I can see it all over. Watch for an upcoming video about that. So again, thanks everyone for being here with us today. Take care and be safe. We'll see y'all again really soon. Hopefully with no cactus prickers. I actually had to stop right up here because I got one down in my shoe that was poked through my sock into my ankle. So I had to stop and pull that out. But trailside surgery, I guess. This is going to be our last day here. The weather is going to be turning, at least in this part of Colorado. The temperatures are going to be dropping. The days are getting shorter and the nights are getting longer. And after tomorrow, there's a weather front coming through. High winds, and then the temperature is really going to drop off. So it's time to go. So this is our last day. I'm going to sit down and put a video together for y'all today, and then we'll get up tomorrow, and I'll probably load the bike up this afternoon and get everything I can buttoned up. It's about, it's like an hour worth of packing up to do everything. Well, I guess we're walking. He won't let me sit here and talk to y'all for 5 minutes, so hey, come on, bro. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Good Lord, dog. Can't stand still. And gotta say goodbye to the big rock. Say goodbye to Big Rocky left. Alright, I'm gonna get 2 hands on the leash here. He's obviously jacked up, so he's putting me to work.